everyone, I'm Zoe. Welcome to my channel where we are going to take this men's extra large shirt and turn it into a fringe skirt, a layered top, and then add macrame inspired knots to the skirt. Alright, here's the original sketch of what we're doing. So first, take your shirt, turn it inside out, flip it upside down, and wrap it around your backside like a skirt. It's okay if you can't wrap the shirt all the way around you this way. As long as you can wear it, it should be fine. We're more concerned about having enough length. Make some marks for how short you want the skirt in the back and on the sides. So I wanted to make mine higher at the sides, but do whatever you like. Now lay the shirt down flat, still inside out, and subscribe to my channel. Use a ruler or measuring tape to center your back mark and make the side marks even on both sides. Connect these markings to make a guide for the bottom of the skirt. I made mine pointed, but you can make the shape of the skirt however you like. Then I decided to make mine slightly shorter. Alright, now to measure out the bottom of the fringe. Measure and mark the distance from your side marks up to the base of the sleeve on either side to make sure that they're the same. Then measure and mark that same distance from your center mark towards the collar. Connect these new marks to draw the bottom of the fringe. Now I went slightly out of focus here, but I started marking out the width of the fringe starting from the center. I made my fringe 2 centimeters wide, which stretches out to be pretty thin, so I wouldn't go smaller than that. And then the general showed up in a whole friggin' mood. I started mirroring the 2 centimeter marks along the bottom of the fringe to help make my lines straighter, but he was clearly upset about the attention I was giving this ruler and not at all about this little spat I had just overheard he had with my husband downstairs. Anyway, he got a little slappy and then quickly ran away in fear of retaliation. So, I used these marks to draw out the fringe. Then I finished by drawing 2 3 centimeter wide strips underneath the fringe across the shirt to use for the drawstring. After all the markings are drawn, it's time to cut everything. I started by cutting the drawstrings all the way across the shirt, and then cutting the bottom of the fringe. The final part is to cut along the fringe lines carefully through both layers of fabric, stopping at the marked base of the fringe. If your shirt has side seams, undo the seam up to the baseline, and if not, just cut the side piece into 2 strips. Then carefully stretch each strip of fabric. I tried to grab the strips by one bottom corner so that when I pull it, each strip ends up a little bit pointed at the bottom, but that's just preference. Turn your skirt back inside in, and it's drawstring time. So I took the 3 centimeter wide strips, stretched them, and then cut them at the seams so that I had 2 long solid strings, and then I tied them together so that it was long enough to tie around my waist. Then I cut 2 small holes beside each other in the center of the bottom hem, which is now our waistband. Make sure to only cut the top layer of fabric, and then you can attach a safety pin to one end of the string and weave it through one hole, around the waistband, and then out the other hole. And that's the fringe skirt. You just put it on and tie it at the waist. Then I was looking at the leftover fabric and thought I could make a top. First, I grabbed the collar piece and knotted the top to make the neck hole smaller, and then threaded a leftover string through the loop made by the knot so that I could tie the string around my neck as a halter. This left the neck hole as like a cutout in the front, but it was a little too open for me, so I grabbed another scrap piece of fabric to layer underneath. I grabbed a piece with a section of hem on one side, so I made that the top and worked another string through the hem to bunch up like another halter. I tied the top and bottom pieces together with the string after adjusting everything into the right spot. Then I tied it around my neck and tied both the layers of fabric in the back. So that's the basic set. Now to do the macrame inspired knots with the fringe. Lay your skirt down or hang it and work with just one layer of fabric at a time. I also recommend starting in the center. So take your 2 center strings and tie them together in a square knot. So 2 alternating overhand knots, left over right, then right over left, or vice versa. Do this about an inch down from the base of the fringe. And the strings should stick straight out sideways from the knot after you're done. Do the exact same thing with the next 2 strings. Then continue all the way around the skirt. After the first row of square knots, start a second row of square knots about an inch down from the first row and in between 2 of those knots. You can start this row anywhere and again continue all the way around. Now, this knot tying process takes a long time, and as I tried and failed to show you in the video, we were like 40 minutes in at this point, and I was fading fast. So sweet Dozer stepped in for some emotional support, and I can never get her to look at the camera. Alright, so dog hugs were just what I needed. So once I finished with the second row, I switched knots. You can do another row of the square knots if your fringe is super long, but this is how to do the very last row. So my third row's knots will be positioned in the same way as the last rows, but instead of the square knot, we're going to tie both strings together as one string in a single overhand knot, like just a regular knot so that the strings point downwards underneath the knot. And you know what's next. Continue this all the way around and stay hydrated. So this is not a quick tutorial, but it is very satisfying once it's all done. And the fringe is just fun. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to let me know and check out some of my other content all at Unorthodoll.